Bro's brain is like a massive computer. The engines can hardly even understand what the world number one's doing in this game. He's playing black. It's titled Tuesday. His opponent's Nihal Sarin, a blitz monster, and he opens with pawn d4, does young Nihal. Magnus goes with the pony here. This is online chess, the weekly tournament. They played it 20th of January, just yesterday. Magnus goes for an offbeat system, course he does, and the Jabava London from Nihal. Watch the sheer genius on the way, and then I'll show you who won the entire tournament. Nihal's going for the massive centre, Magnus plays e6. Anytime I see this e6 French move against the Jabava London, I'm instantly reminded of this legendary clip.
Again, in the course, I have a saying about this position. So, our opponents play e6, and we don't really know if they are comfortable going into the French, because some of our opponents might allow us the chance to go for the French, knowing that we won't go to the French, because we think that they're comfortable with the French, meaning that they're going to be more comfortable in the French than we are in the French. However, they can also know that we are comfortable in the French, and that we think that they are comfortable in the French, thus making us not go into the French transposition, thus letting them play e6 without actually having proper knowledge of the French. And that's why this course is the greatest of all time.
Now we see that pawn pushing in the centre, big white centre on the board, and Magnus calmly goes a6, keeping an eye on the knight jump. Why didn't he do it a move earlier? Not sure. This is the game. Queen d2, aggressive intentions, and Magnus counter punches in the centre. If this, then this. Bishop e7 on the way, c5, and black's fine. You're going to have to take some time to get your pawn chain going as white. These guys undeveloped. It's no biggie. So in the game, we saw the 0-0-0, and we're way past Christmas here. Magnus goes bishop b4 with a whoosh, eliminate, intensify the pressure here, and Nihal actually invites it. Now, why would you do this? Your centre is collapsing. We'll look at the pressure on c7. This is how the game proceeded. If you now take immediately, not played, we're in the back cave here, the move in response is knight d5. Yes, you give the queen, but you gain a queen. Something like this. Black's doing fine. It's a game. It's a different game. So let's run back. We didn't see bishop takes. We saw the really tricky pawn d5. And the point of this move, although you can take it in three ways, if you take with pawn or bishop, let's show one of them, not both. The theme is the same. Now white takes and there's no knight d5. And white's doing well here. So we didn't see either of those ones taking. We saw knight takes, of course. What a monster of a piece. Why would you give black this and the tempo? And then, of course, the pawn is going to take or something. This is the point. When the knight moved, you left the protection of this pawn, or you left the x-ray attack on. The rook's now hanging, so Magnus responds with the only move to stay in the game. Queen f6. X-ray defending that rook through the white queen. So these ladies leave the board. Of course his big fans are loving it. They know what he can do in these positions. Now we see knight takes. You could flick in this bishop e5, king e7, then take on c7. It's what Gukesh did against Magnus apparently. He says live on stream. But this was played immediately by Nihal. Knight beats d7, develops, protects this pawn here. And after bishop g3, Magnus understands that he doesn't want to take on f3. You help the white development. You're actually better to get your own pieces into the game. And it's what he starts doing. Hitting the half open file. Rook c8 was also good. It comes on the board soon. First, Nihal goes for some pressure down here. Rook c8 from Magnus, and look at his opening here. We're on move 15. His rooks are on half open files. All his bits are out. you can't say the same for the white pieces. He's a pawn ahead, I think. No, pawn's a level, sorry. But everything's ready to jump, to pounce. You know, this is what happens when you learn your openings. If you want to go deep on these kind of offbeat systems, use Lotus Chess. I go there every time now if I want to learn a Magnus system. Find the opening, cover the variations plus the crushing lines, but you don't even feel like you're learning right. You get this knowledge download like you're in the Matrix. It feels fun, it's gamified, and then because it connects to Lead Chess and chess.com, you go there, play some blitz games, see how you get on in the new opening, and they instantly get brought in so you can see where you made your mistakes. Do check it out. Link is down below. It's truly awesome. Let's get back to the chess here. Pawn takes on e4 is played. Now knight takes looks really natural. Just hopping forward, right? If the bishop ever moves, there's a fork. It looks aggressive. But Magnus plays bishop takes. And it is the stronger move. You converge on c2. So rook d2 was played to protect. And this is where he just unleashes the brilliance. So few humans, that's a tongue twister, understand this kind of sense. Sacrificial sense, let's say. Chess understanding. Making a mess of it here. Can't get my words out. What brilliancy do you think Magnus played here? He spawns that seahorse. And the reason I find this just so incredible is that after bishop takes, this is the point. Check. Pawn is pinned. King goes. You take a rook. But hang on. You've now given a knight and a bishop. Or is it two knights? Two knights, sorry. For a rook. And usually it's a bad idea to give two minors for a rook. Even with the white development problems. The computer doesn't even fully get it at first, but then it starts to understand that Magnus is crashing through with check. King driven up the board here, and he's got this pressure and these extra pawns which do indeed give him compensation for being two minor pieces against the rook. It's just remarkable judgment. Rook g6 immediately. Technically best, chase this guy, then take here. Magnus does it first. Bit of a harsh question mark. This is the game. Knight f3 from Nihal, of course. Check. King d3. And now Magnus plays another fantastic move. He could just slide here with the rook or something. But he plays rook takes on b2. Giving an exchange if Nihal wants it. And saying I'm going to fight on with my three pawns against your one knight. I mean, it's just so cool to watch someone understanding this stuff and that he's not worse. Nihal doesn't take it. He plays rook c1, looking for some weirdness down here. We think, although it doesn't come on the board actually. We see this, not actually yet threatening to take because you lose a rook. And now rook c7, stopping a square short. Checking was actually much better, as you can see. Big drop in the bar there. But Magnus doesn't find quite the right way to punish. He does hit the knight. Best move to start. King covers. And now there are these lines where you check the king away. And then you go e5. And it's really good for black. But it wasn't played. So let's stick with the game. Rook f1 on the board. And it now threatens to take with check. Because there's no rook takes on f2. So rook c3. Backward tail between legs, covering the pawn. Rook af2 hits the knight. Apparently, this is best immediately, but looks counterintuitive. There's not much between the moves. Another harsh question mark. Harsh, rather. Rook e2 check. King f4. King d7. Magnus gets out his coffin box there. No one wants to get mated down here. We see king g3. And now great move. Really turning the screw in the centre of the board. Magnus has no right to be pushing like this, but he's Magnus Carlsen. Pawn e5. Putting that pawn on a square where it can be taken, but giving the king some wiggle room. Now in the game, we see knight takes. If bishop takes, it's bad because you can take with check, remove the defender, pick up the bishop. Looks like you might be getting away with a draw here. But no, black's doing well. These two are connected. King's with them. Yes, it's 2-on-2, but black stands a lot better. In fact, I think you're winning this pawn. That's another important point. So let's run back here. We didn't see bishop takes. We saw knight takes, check. King steps up the board. Couple of pieces now hugely under fire, especially the bishop. So check was played. X-ray defends the bishop. King f5. Rook takes on b6, offering back the 2 minors for the rook. This wasn't played. Of course it wasn't. It leads to some kind of drawn position. Magnus never wants that. He wants to push, push, push and fight. So he checks. King g2, rook a1. And the best move is knight c4. Hits the rook, defends the pawn, and opens up the bishop attack from f6 on the rook on a1. Knight g4 also opens up the attack and also hits the rook. But this time after check, you can't step back with the king, or the knight on g4 just drops clean from the board. You haven't got that problem with the knight on c4. So knight f2 is therefore forced. That's a bit ugly. We see rook e6 from Magnus. Excellent. Hits 2 pieces. Forces these ones off the board. That's not true actually. Rook b2 there was a stronger move. Let's carry on with the game. They're both really low on time now, especially Nihal. King takes stronger. Magnus goes with the pawn. And now bishop e7. Covers the a pawn. Rook b2. King f3 played. Unpinning over here. a5. And now the best move is h4. Very logical, very natural. But Nihal is really struggling under time pressure now. He plays the knight into d3. They don't get any increment, remember. That's time back per move. So you do have to move fast. This is a blunder of a pawn. And it's a big pawn. Because now you're really getting trousered. You're going to see what I mean. First, this one's attacked. And you can't even execute on your threat of the previous move. Or rook takes. And you're getting tick-tock clocked. Don't know what we call this. But it looks like 3 o'clock. One of those pieces is dropping off the board. Wonderful geometry. So we don't see this. We see this. Covering the pawn. But e5 from Magnus. e4 check. A huge threat. So king e3. h5. And this is what I mean about getting trousered. 2 pawns on both sides. Distracting the pieces. The legs of the trousers. Or the pants as you might say in the States. Now we see bishop d6, and this is a cool, quirky move. Magnus attacks the bishop, and therefore forces it to take the pawn. You know, the knight can't take it. What's the problem after bishop takes? Well, as we see, the defense of this one is left. You can take. The knight's still pinned. Bishop hits the rook. It slides to b3. That is a dynamite square. Shouldn't be allowed. You should be now walking into a fork. But no, there's a pin. He's just on top of everything this tournament. King e4 makes the threat. And this is how quick a game of chess can turn, of course. Magnus sees it though. Bishop d4 covers the square again. But Magnus sidesteps. Not that this was a decisive threat, but anyway he does so. Knight f4, and here goes the pawns. Running down the board. Both sides. It's absolutely brutal. Stunning chess from the world #1. Magic Carlsen. He could cover his rook. He could slide his rook. He doesn't care. Eat it, bro. I'm going to make myself a queenie. Look at this. Gives up the a-pawn. But anyway, the queen is overpowered. She waltzes in, cuts the king. It could step to b6, prolongs the game, but still black is winning. This is how things went. Magnus now steps in and covers this square. The king is in a mating net. Mating 1 threatened, nothing to be done. Nihal does this, and Magnus shuts the trap. 61 moves of just absolutely stunning chess. Who understands this stuff? Giving 2 minors for a rook in a blitz game, it really is beautiful, something out of this world. Hope you enjoyed that game, and have a look at the video on screen in case you want to miss this one. Watch this one, absolute classic from Magnus Carlsen, played a couple years ago now. Another mind-blowingly good game from Title Tuesday. Thanks very much for watching. Do check out Lotus Chess, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.